Seemingly out of nowhere, Kentucky added another big to their already impressive front court. 7'2" Reece Potter, transferring from Miami, Ohio to Kentucky just a couple months ago. And this is an interesting signing, and Brandon Ramsey is going to help explain why. So here's another addition to the team that kind of, I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but it kind of did. And actually, I think you guys had already done your front court video before Reece Potter also. This being another late addition, he's got height coming from Miami, Ohio. What do you see from him, and do you see what does his role look like, I guess, this season? Is this just strictly somebody who's going to, get some work in practice, or do you see a role for him on the floor this year?
I think, it's similar to some of the other, late additions, whether it be Braden Hawthorne or, some other guys that are further down the pecking order, so to speak. Like, no, I don't think that you're going into 25-26 expecting anything out of Reece Potter. But I think that's a really exciting place to be if you are Reece Potter, because he can now take advantage of everything that Kentucky has to offer. I'm pretty good friends with some of the guys on staff at Miami, Ohio, so there's not a shot at the Redhawks at all. But there's just things that you have at Kentucky that you don't have at Miami, Ohio, in terms of strength conditioning and training room and nutrition, all this kind of stuff. It's just a different level in the SEC, and he's going to now be able to unlock some of those things. With him, he's also going to have a ton of time one-on-one with guys like Mark Pope, who's excellent with coaching big men and all these different things, where his game, I think, can exponentially grow over the next 6 to 12 months, probably at a different rate than it ever could have at Miami, Ohio, almost because of the fact that Miami, Ohio, he was expected to play in the games. At Kentucky, he can take a whole year. Again, whether he actually redshirts or not is beside the point, but just being able to not have to worry about hey, is Reece going to be sore because we might need him to play tonight, or maybe we shouldn't work Reece out this morning because we need him to play 18 minutes tonight. You can kind of forget all that and just go all in on making this a development year for Reece Potter, so that hopefully he can help you down the road. So, to answer your question, I don't think there's a whole lot of expectations this year, but similar to what we talked about with Braden Hawthorne, I think that kind of being able to dive all in to a development year, especially for a guy that already has real college experience and some levels of success, to me, that's super exciting, not just if you're Kentucky, but individually if you're Reece Potter as well.
I know I've kind of just stopped caring about what somebody's form looks like too much, but I'm looking at his jumper looks pretty good. What do you think as far as if he is somebody that in a pinch you need to go to have another big, let's say a JQ isn't ready to go right away, you have other options obviously, but is this somebody who can, if he does see the floor, doesn't hurt you at least?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the way to me to look at it. It's when you can have this sort of break in case of emergency piece, who is 7'2", has made 40% of his threes at the college level, and has 2 years of pretty legitimate Division I experience for a good team. Again, you're talking about somebody who's overqualified for their role. Yeah, is Reece Potter ever going to play a meaningful minute this year? Maybe not. And in some respects, you might even say hopefully not. But if he does get forced into a role, just heck, we saw it last year with Travis Berry and Trent Noah. They were never expected to play meaningful minutes last season, but they were thrust into roles. And guess what? They were overqualified too. So they ended up doing okay in those expanded roles. So yes, I think if there's a situation where, heaven forbid something, Jaden Quanitz re-injures his leg or something, and he has to miss significant time, and you get into a game where both Malachi Moreno, and Brandon Garrison pick up 2 fouls in the first half, it's not the end of the world that you have to roll out Reece Potter for 10 minutes, at Auburn. Is it the is that your first option? Obviously not. But I would much rather be in that situation than just like not have the spot like a lot of teams would, where like they haven't even filled these 13, 14, 15 pieces. I mean, heck, we just saw not to bring up ex-girlfriends, but we just saw the video of John Calipari talking about how he only wants 8 to 10 guys. Like, well, you would never have Reece Potter if that's the case. And like, I would rather have Reece Potter than just have an empty seat at the end of the bench, because again, he's played meaningful minutes for good college basketball teams. And as Kentucky fans, we know how these seasons go. Like those break in case of emergency guys, a lot of times at some point you're breaking that glass, and it's really nice to have a guy like this in that situation.
Well, especially when Kentucky has dealt with some of the injuries that they've dealt with the last few years, especially last season. I mean, if this is a guy you have to roll with, I mean, I think that's why Pope has loaded up the roster this year. It's why you have Braden Hawthorne. It's why you have Reece Potter, just in case, because you would hate to be in a situation where, JQ's coming off an injury, and like you said, you get, BG and Malachi. I mean, if something happens to one of them, and is this, would you say that he is good enough, and especially after, working with the training staff, working with Mark Pope in the offseason, that he's, if you need him to, is this somebody that you can rely on, like I said, maybe it doesn't hurt you, but to beat SEC teams?
Yeah, I mean, like, in a larger role, no. Like, I mean, if Reece Potter's playing 25 minutes a game, like, you're not going to be a top half SEC team. But like, if you have to roll him out there every couple games as like your third big man, and especially in our case, probably your fourth 5-man, then yeah, I think he's definitely qualified to be that guy. Like, if Reece Potter's playing, spot minutes, he's getting 4 to 8 minutes in some games, that's perfectly fine, because he's going to come in, and opposing 5-men aren't going to be ready to guard him on the perimeter. He's going to spray in a 3 or 2. Then he's going to be 7-2 on the other end and maybe block a shot. And yeah, he's not going to be the most physical, especially right away, but the dude's still massive. He's still going to be able to grab a rebound maybe. And yeah, you're talking about eating minutes at that point. So no, like, is Reece Potter going to be the reason that you win SEC games? No. But can he be the guy that, essentially just fills the gap for 4 minutes because you got to eat some minutes because somebody is in foul trouble, or heck, like, we had to roll with Reece Potter today because somebody, we had 2 guys roll their ankle in the first half. Like, again, yeah, like to me, he's overqualified for that sort of role, because quite frankly, most teams in most situations can't get a guy of his caliber to accept that sort of role. Like, we're talking about a guy that was playing 20 minutes a game last season for a team that, I think they won the regular season and lost in their conference championship game in the tournament. So like, this is a guy that played 20 minutes a game for a borderline NCAA tournament team, essentially kind of punting on playing basketball this year. Like, that's not the easiest sell in the world. And that's why most teams don't have a guy like this. So yeah, again, to me, it's such a luxury to have a couple of guys like this on this Kentucky roster.
So, his second season at Kentucky, what does that look? Do you ever exceed? Do you see an expanded role for him in the future?
For Reese, it's probably a little bit more difficult, just because he's obviously already further along in his career. Like, he's already played 2 college basketball seasons. So like, we've talked about a guy like Braden Hawthorne. Like, well, it's a little bit easier to kind of project out the exponential growth of a Braden Hawthorne, because he's just, he's earlier in his development. For Reese, I think that he could be a very good, like, third 5-man, where like maybe he is playing in all of the games, but it's, it's kind of those spot minutes, come in and make a 3, be a mismatch for some people out on the perimeter, and then come in and be tall defensively. So like, do I think he can grow in his role? Absolutely. Do I think that he's going to grow to the point where like he's a main guy, or he's starting, or maybe even as a true backup? I don't necessarily see that happening in even within a couple years at Kentucky, but I absolutely think that he's a guy that could become a dude that you play in all the games.
Nothing wrong with having a 7-footer who can hit a 3, shoot 40% from behind the arc. that just comes off the bench and he's like your fourth best big. That seems like you're in a pretty good spot.
No doubt about it. Yep. Like I keep saying, these guys are overqualified for what their roles are, and that's exciting.
We'll continue our series of new players, and once we've wrapped this up, we'll have a breakdown of all of the returning guys, so you can have a full roster. You can see that on the playlist right here. Once it's complete, you'll see all of the players have individual breakdowns. This is a Final Four caliber team. You're going to want to watch all of those and see why. So we'll see you when the next one drops, and we will see you in our next video coming up soon here on KSR YouTube. Thank you for helping us get to 50,000 subscribers, by the way. But let's be the number one in the On3 Rivals Network. I think War Chant, the Florida State site, has 50.6, 50.7. So I think we can beat it, Big Blue Nation. Let's see if we can do that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.